All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Town Council of the Town of Morristown. Today is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. Margot, please take it away.
I, Margot G.K., the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown, do hereby state that it is 7:30 p.m. on Monday, March 12th, 2024, and that this regular meeting is being held in Council Chambers, 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morristown Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Town of Morristown, and to the New York Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. Take a roll call. Councilwoman Foster is excused this evening. Councilman Iannacone.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Here.
Councilman Pilipchuk.
Here.
Councilman Russo.
Here.
Councilman Silva.
Present.
Council President Umbriak.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we please pause for a moment of silence? And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have one quick announcement on the draft February 27th minutes. They were amended to reflect that Councilman Silva was indeed present and not excused as indicated on page 1. Okay, there are 6 items on the consent agenda tonight. I'm going to separate out items 1 through 5. If I could get a motion.
I'll make a motion for consent agenda items 1 through 5.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Pilipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriak.
Yes.
Consent agenda item number 6, facilities use request application for Centro Biblico Hope Day Festival at Caldwell Park and Bishop Nazare Way parking lot on Saturday, July 27th, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda item number 6.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Pilipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Abstain.
Council President Umbriak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we have a couple items on the agenda for a public hearing tonight. Let's see. I will open the floor for a public hearing on the Family Promise of Morris County fiscal year 2024 CDBG application for community outreach programs. Anybody like to comment? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Any comments or questions? I will close that public hearing. I will now open the floor for a public hearing on Family Promise of Morris County fiscal year 2024 ESG application for homelessness prevention, housing stabilization program renewal. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Comments, questions? At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on any matter. When called on, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order.
In the chamber, Kristen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Ace. I'm the chair of the Morristown Shade Tree Commission. I live at 24 Franklin Street. I'm just going to give you a little update on what's going on. So we have, for awareness, this month we'll be placing signs on all of our, 85 of our newly planted trees to raise awareness on species and what we're doing in town. This is a copy of what will be on the trees. Just, you can pass it around, but please give it back to me because we only have we don't have access. We have created an awareness article that's going to go into the newspapers once it's approved, and we'll let you know when that's going to be published. It's kind of it's an awareness article of what a public tree is, because we're having problems with people understanding what a public tree is and what they're allowed and not allowed to do with a public tree. So we're also going to be posting signs about what a public tree is along an area of Sussex Avenue where we've had some vandalism. And again, we think it's more of a question of people think they're doing the right thing for the tree and just not understanding that they can't touch the tree. So we're going to raise awareness in that area about what a tree is. for us. We've got a couple of plantings coming up. We've got the New Jersey Tree Foundation, in coordination with the Formosa Plastics Company, has donated us 10 trees, and we're going to be planting them in Orchard Park. The date of that planting is Wednesday, April 17th at 1 p.m. The DPW will offload the trees, but because there's only 10 of them, the volunteers will dig all the holes and put everything in place. And then our Arbor Day celebration will be at Burnham Park in coordination with the Burnham Park Association. We're planting 4 pin oaks, and they are to replace the 4 vandalized trees that were killed there last year. These trees will eventually provide shade for the kids who play basketball over there. And that is Saturday, May 5th at 4 o'clock, and I'll be reminding you up until that date. And for those of you who didn't have the opportunity to read the Foots Pond last year report, I just want to give you some highlights, and also for public record, there were 241 volunteers that contributed 934 hours of labor worth over $31,000. There were $17,402 in grants to the Friends of Foots Pond Wood. Their engagement included Morristown High School, Thomas Jefferson Elementary School, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, many more volunteer groups, and many corporations came and did work in Foots Pond Wood. The 2023 plantings included 11 pounds of native seeds and almost 3,000 plugs, shrubs, and trees. So in total, in 2023, with the Shade Tree Commission and the Friends of Foots Pond Wood, we had over 2,000 volunteer hours that are worth $80,000. So that's what we're doing with you so far, and I'll keep you posted on things that are coming up, and I hope that you can come to some of our plantings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Armington.
Good evening, Stephen Armington, 16 Cutler Street. I have 3 questions if I have time. First one is about the implementation of the gas-powered leaf blower ordinance, which prohibits use of gas-powered leaf blowers from January through September. Wondering what the administration plans to do in terms of public education, reminding them about the, I would call it a fiasco last year when we implemented the ban on use of plastic trash bags as garbage bags, and dozens or 50 or 100 people got tickets with mandatory court hearings, and then we went out and did public education after that. The other question is about enforcement. How does the administration plan on enforcing it? Will the property owners get summonses? Will it just be the landscape contractors? If people have comments or concerns, should they reach out to the police non-emergency number, or will it be enforced by the Department of Code Enforcement? I think the public sort of would like to know that, especially the 1,500 or so people who supported the referendum. My second big question is about the as part of the M Station project. The developer was required to purchase some land from the car dealership on Ridgedale Avenue and put in a exclusive right turn lane on Ridgedale Avenue, which would alleviate a lot of the traffic. That was supposed to happen in 2021, 2022 timeframe, so just curious what the status of that is. I know that they had difficulty getting the property, but anyway. And then the third question is, last fall, the residents of Elliott Street, with my help at least, asked for a tennis wall at Elliott Street Playground, and wondering if that is in the tentative budget for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right, I'll close the public hearing. I'll just start by just saying thank you to Kristen Ace for coming and informing the council, keeping us informed, educating the public, continuing to educate the public on the tree canopy here in Morristown. So keep up the great work. We appreciate all that you do.
You know, on M Station, correct me if I'm wrong, Jillian, because I asked you this question, you gave me the answer. Actually, it's a county road, both Ridgedale Avenue and Morris Avenue, and the county wanted to assume that responsibility, and they're also responsible for attempting to acquire the property from the car dealer. Did I get that right?
That's partially accurate.
Okay.
Morris Street is a county road. That intersection is the subject of a grant that the county got from NJTPA. So they've taken over responsibility for improvement of the intersection. I believe the developer did acquire the right-of-way from the gas station, which they were required to do as part of the redevelopment agreement. But the county, in assuming that intersection as part of the grant project, had asked the developer to not do the improvements that they were planning because they overlapped with what the county was already funded to do. So the county is moving forward the intersection improvements, which are similar to what was originally contemplated. It is a federal grant through NJTPA, so the timeline for implementation is probably, it's going to take a while for them to do. But it is in design, from what I understand, and the county is moving forward with that implementation.
Anything we could do with the county to encourage it?
I mean, we stay in regular communication with them, but, I mean, it's the county. And again, with an NJTPA federal grant, there's a lot of responsibilities and red tape that goes along with that. So I expect it will take some years for that to be fully implemented.
In terms of the tennis wall at Elliott Street, can you provide an update on the?
Yes,
That
the former councilman and I did have a conversation about that. That is one of the projects that's being contemplated as part of development of capital budget for this year.
Okay,
So no promises, but it's on the list for consideration.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Sure.
I just commend Christina and the She Trade Commission for the work, and I replied with an email. Last year, we involved some of the Hispanic people on Third Ward, and I will recommend that some of those signs be translated into Spanish.
They are going to be.
Oh, excellent. So you're ahead of the game. Thank you.
Good suggestion.
And I guess the last issue would be
Yeah.
the leaf blower. And how does it work?
Call Stefan Army.
Call Stefan. No, I would imagine,
just kidding,
at the
Stefan.
end of the last council for the last year, what we did, there was a draft resolution that was deemed maybe not necessary. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, is the enforcement and/or the fines are actually currently covered by other sections of the code? That was
Yeah, I-
that evening, that is what was explained to me that evening.
I would have to refer back to it.
Okay.
I don't have the information for you this evening. I can certainly get back to you on that. But as far as enforcement is concerned, it's enforced as all ordinances are enforced, and there is no requirement that we educate anyone with regard to this. We have a code book. We enforce all ordinances. Anyone who has a complaint may call the police department to alert them to a violation of an ordinance. But we don't, in every ordinance that we adopt, we don't have an educational piece for the public that goes along with that.
So how does it work then in terms of summonses, fines, and what have you? And that's, again, we did have this discussion. Is there a section that says XYZ, if you violate this class of violations, the fine is
Yes.
$50?
Certainly,
There is a
yes.
section.
There has to be.
We
Yeah.
research that?
Absolutely. I mean, I can certainly
Yeah.
pull the ordinance and provide all the details to all council members.
Because that's actually the question that's being asked, is what's the process? You know, who do you call? Now, again, it's a non-emergent call. I would imagine you would
Correct.
call the police on the non-emergent line. People are aware that who's going to get the summons. Usually it's the property owner, but it may be actually the operator of the leaf blower. That's the clarification that's being asked for. And then the second point there is we do post things on our website. Sometimes we do a mailing with the Shade Tree Commission, for example. There's when we do the sanitation schedule, we actually put some postings, information with that. Does the administration feel there's a need to do some education on this, just to remind people?
I'm going to jump in. I think that the amount of attention that was placed on that leaf blower ordinance, one through a letter that was sent with the town letterhead on to people, unbeknownst to us, Mr. Armington sent, was well documented throughout the town. I think it was well documented in several news organizations. It was debated here to nauseam. I don't think there's an education piece. I think the piece that Mr. Armington's talking about is the enforcement piece. Councilman received a complaint today. I told him, you have to respond to your constituent, and you call the police non-emergency. And I'll give you an example. If someone is on Wetmore Avenue at 7 o'clock in the morning, starts a construction project, you call up non-emergency, the cops come and say you can't start till 8 o'clock. That's how you enforce that ordinance. I would assume it's the same as the leaf ordinance. But what is crucial that you when you respond to your constituent, that you respond with a copy of the ordinance, so they understand the dates that leaf blowers go into effect, and when the gas blowers go into effect for the cleanup, and mostly in the fall. So you want to educate, and I think you can educate that way. We can always post the ordinance on the website, which has tons of viewers. We can do that for even more education. But I think there's been a lot of education on the leaf blower. I mean, they went door to door.
But aside from that, a lot of people also didn't sign, and there's a lot of people that don't vote, as we know in this town. So the other suggestion I would have is we do actually outline the rules associated with how do you handle your recyclables, how do you handle, and I refer to that blue sheet that we get all the time. Maybe adding not just the leaf blower, but also on construction, some of these other what I call quality of life issues that are also related to property maintenance, because recyclable is somewhat like property maintenance. Maybe Jillian give some thought to adding that information that we get annually,
And for the record.
It may be helpful
And
to
for
have.
the record, we also told the council that this is not going to be an ordinance that's easily enforced. A police officer is not going to stop in the middle of doing some police work because someone called for a leaf ordinance. If they have somebody pulled over and they're in the middle of a stop and there's on patrol and they get a call of the leaf ordinance, they're not going to say, oh, you can go, and I got to go check a leaf blower.
Yeah.
We stated that publicly.
You did, and I tend to agree with you. In fact, if you remember at the meetings, what I was vocalizing is this really is a quality of life issues between people.
Yep.
And really what you should be doing is talking to your neighbor first, and if it's persistent, nothing's being worked, it's something to refer to, and it's something to use as a last resort.
Yeah.
And that was my position on it.
It
So
was.
that's
And you're correct.
Yeah.
But the public should know it is an ordinance. And it will be enforced. So call the police. They're the enforcement agency of our ordinances. And they have a job. If they're called, they have to go and respond to it.
Yeah.
Provided any call. If there's a noise complaint of somebody starting
Same thing.
construction a half hour early, if they're on a call, they're not going to break that call off to go deal with it. I mean, it's priorities. And it is a serious priority because they worked hard to get this passed for referendum. And it'll be enforced, when it can be. So we know that it takes a while for probably, you're probably right, probably people don't even know this ordinance existed. But I think most people know, the leaf I've talked to, know the leaf ordinance was passed through referendum. But like I said, if you call the mayor's office or you call the council president or a councilman in your ward, they're not going to enforce it.
No, but what
So
you
you
do
have to call the
is,
police.
quite frankly, a lot of times people call us, and I go talk to them.
I know.
Okay, you go talk to them and say, hey,
Yeah.
listen, Joe, you can't
Yeah.
do this.
Call the police.
And that's actually what's good about having the ordinance on paper. The conversation you're having with somebody is, listen, there's an ordinance here.
Yep.
And I think we can end this conversation, but I strongly suggest that we put it with the other kind of noise and rules regulations on those sheets that we send out annually, because this way, nobody can say they don't know. So, thank you.
Any other comments? No? All right, report of mayor and town officials.
All right, Morristown On Stage was held the 29th. For those who attended, it was outstanding. Again, the MEF, it's a big fundraiser for the Morristown Educational Foundation, the Morris Educational Foundation, and they've done a great job. And it's for all those who participated and donated and all the sponsors. We thank you. and I know the school thanks you, the school district thanks you, and it was a great night. I also, hats off to the Rotary for Morristown's Rotary Taste of Morristown. Man, was that well attended. It was standing room only. I think they sold out all the tickets.
They did.
If I'm correct. And the vendors were great, the food was great, and it was a great event. St. Patrick's Day Parade. They got off a little bit of rain, light rain, but the parade got off with was okay. It was just a little light rain, so congratulations to the Grand Marshal and to the parade committee for getting that parade off. It was another great parade for the town of Morristown. It was actually pretty well attended too, considering the rain was coming heavy after 4. So thank you for all that participated and all the residents and the visitors that came out to enjoy our St. Patrick's Day Parade. And as we know, the actual St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so enjoy your festivities if you're Irish. Friday, March 15th, those who want to attend at 7 p.m., Law Enforcement Night at Menin Sports Arena. That's 7 o'clock. The 15th, I will be there. That is the 15th. That is that group that have done this in a while, for quite a few years over at the Law Enforcement Night at Menin. It's really good for the young kids. So if you can attend. Saturday, March 16th, 8:30 to noon, the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee cleanup, 59 Spring Street behind Bethel. There's a flyer. It's going to be posted. That is Saturday, March 16th. And it's self-explanatory what to bring. Bring your own gloves. And if you need personal protection equipment, bags will be provided. And it always picks up a lot of litter. One is the action that Bethel takes on a weekly basis down there, feeding hundreds of people through their program of Table of Hope, it generates a lot of stuff. So it's going to be a big cleanup. Hats off to Bethel, though, for what they do and how much food they put out for people in need. So we want to give them a shout out because it really is. They talk the talk, but they walk the walk with feeding a lot of people, and hats off to Pastor Williams and Bethel. Noon, same day, if you want to attend, there's a ribbon cutting for the second studio of South Street Yoga and Nutrition at 40 Mill Street. That is Saturday the 16th, noon to 1:30. On Saturday, March 23rd, the annual Easter egg hunt at Ledgerwood Park. It's a lot of fun. Kids running around. And we always have the big Easter bunny rabbit there, and comes in with the fire department, so it's a lot of fun. 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's a rain date, March 30th, so check the website. For those, I think you have to register. I do believe you have to register for that. You can register when you get there. I'll double check. But check the website out. It'll be on the town's website. That's Saturday, March 23rd. Annual Easter egg hunt at Ledgerwood starting at 10 o'clock. Special announcement, obviously we talked a lot about this at the last meeting, and we've been posting it. It's been out there with the sanitary sewer improvements. Morris, yes, it's going to be tight and it's going to be traffic issues. Police have done a good job so far. I want to actually talk to the public safety director after the meeting to make sure that we're all on the same page with intersections being manned by police, one on Ridgedale and Morris and the other one down on Ford and Morris, because you still have to deal with ambulances, you still have to deal with fire trucks. There was a crash, I believe, today on over by Acorn Hall, and that caused a little bit of a problem because fire trucks had to get through. But they got through with no problem. But you make sure that police have the right enforcement there to move the traffic throughout the day. Obviously, the morning and evening is going to be the tightest, and it's going to be a little bit of pressure and a little bit of inconvenience is an easy word to say for our residents and for people traveling through in and out of our town, but it is something we cannot avoid. This has to be repaired. And we are in the process, and the only thing we can hope for is weeks like this. When you get 60-degree weather, tomorrow's the 60s, the next day's in the 60s, that's what you want. You want warmer weather, you want cooperative weather, you don't want cold snaps, you don't want heavy rain, you don't want snow. So let's just hope the weather continues to shape up the way it is shaping up for the spring. And we should get that done hopefully under time, as the town engineer is shaking his head in the back, because the faster we get it done, the less residents are going to be angry at the administration and the town. But it has to be done. It's a necessary thing that needs to be completed. I also want to thank Kristen. She's always on top of the trees. I just want to make sure she's on top of the FlexiPave stuff too. And thank you for what you guys do. And I also want to give a shout out to the people at Foots Pond. And I'm not going to take a lot of time up, but we can go back to the days when Allison Deeb was the councilwoman in that ward. And there was always talk about Foots Pond and Foots Pond and Foots Pond. And even before I became mayor, it is amazing when you let the government and the public work together and see what can be accomplished. When people really take ownership of getting things done. And look what has been accomplished down there. And our part was preserving land, 11+ acres, making sure that the funds were there for needed to be done. But the volunteers of Foots Pond Wood and Kristen and her team and all the people that give their time down there really has shown what can be done. It's a smaller project, but if you take that same energy on a larger scale, anything can be accomplished. So I want to give a shout out to Foots Pond Wood and all the volunteers and the leaders down there that continue to make that place a great place to walk and to visit. And just let me put it on the record. I'm on the Highlands Commission, and one of the employees at the Highlands was down walking and walked right into 2 coyotes. So just be aware that it is 11 acres, and we do occasionally have a coyote in those woods. So always be cautious where you're walking. And I'll end it with this. When we went down with the county to get the grant money for that piece of property, that 11+ acres, which we were in competition for developers and other people who wanted that land. When I went there to walk with the county, at that time, we all assembled to walk into the woods, and all of a sudden this giant hawk came right through the woods, and the wingspan was like amazing. And of course, the county turned and goes, "Did you just have somebody release that like around the corner?" I was like, "No," but that's the kind of stuff you see when you can preserve as much as we can preserve here. I mean, we're 2.5 square miles, and we try to preserve what we can. But again, just thank you to you, Kristen, and your team, and the people at Foots Pond Wood. And they know who I'm talking about. Thank you. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. All right, on to council liaison reports.
Good evening. Just an update on the renovation in Manhattan Village. Apartment work is focused on 28 Clyde Pot Drive, 32 Clyde Pot Drive, 34 Flagler Street, 4 units on 11 Flagler Street. Windows are being replaced at 8 Flagler. The residents from those locations have been relocated successfully at a hotel. A few have opted to stay with a friend or family during the work. Each of the renovation apartment need correctly have been visited, and each item has been addressed. Progress being made in the addressing resident complaint. I believe the expectation to move forward is now clear to all parties concerned. The Resident Service Department was very active during the month of February. Several events were scheduled at 29 Ann Street, such as a 20-minute peach cobbler bake, brunch, bingo, Black History Month movie. In the upcoming week, more activities will be scheduled at 31 Early Street, 39 Early Street, in the community room. The Board Outreach Committee is Board Committee Outreach met and started discussing about areas that need the residents secure resorts to support the activities of the program to meet those needs. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Russo, any report?
Nope.
Nope. Councilman Silva?
MPA meeting will be next Wednesday, March 20th.
Councilman Polipchuk? Nope. Okay. On to regular business.
Okay. There is one ordinance for introduction tonight, ordinance O-8-2024, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 30 Chapter 30 Land Development Ordinance of the Code of the Town of Morristown to revise the requirements for the location of off-site low and moderate housing.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number O-8-2024.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions from council? Okay, on the introduction of ordinance O-8-2024, Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
And Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance O-8-2024 has been properly introduced by title. It is scheduled for a planning board consistency review on March 28th, with a public hearing and possible adoption on April 9th. There's one ordinance for adoption, ordinance O-7-2024, ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 12, Building and Construction, specifically Section 12-1.3 fees of the Town of Morristown Municipal Code.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-7-2024.
Second.
Okay, at this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-7-2024 only. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-7-2024, Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance O-7-2024 is adopted. There are 6 resolutions on the agenda. Would members of council like to pull any for separate consideration?
A quick question on 54.
Okay, so we'll pull that one. Any others?
58, please.
Okay. I would ask then, please, for a motion to adopt resolution numbers 55, 56, 57, and 59-2024.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
On the adoption of those resolutions, Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Resolution number R-54-2024, resolution authorizing release of performance guarantee for improvements at 47 Pine Street /109 Morris Street, block 4702, lot 34.
Jillian, we were doing I'm trying to remember, the crossing at King Street across Morris, was that part of this developer's agreement, or was it part of the M Station, or was it, I'm trying to figure out where did we
Either.
place that?
Neither. The town got a grant to do
That's what I
those
thought.
intersection improvements. They're in design. I expect either at best construction in the fall, but most likely in spring of next year.
Great, thank you.
May I have a motion, please, to adopt resolution R-54-2024?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-54-2024.
Second.
Okay, Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-58-2024, resolution authorizing change order number 1 to a contract awarded to Clark Moynihan Landscaping and Construction for the restroom building at George Granby Memorial Park.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-58-2024.
Second.
Councilman.
So the resolution is just replacing water fountains with bottle filling stations as part of the new construction. And I just want to say, I think that's a great idea. I feel like a bunch of us up here probably would feel the same way. I'm just hoping that for future construction projects, we consider it as the default, because I think we need more in town instead of just putting in the traditional water fountains. I think what you have proposed is good.
We actually have an initiative to put bottle filling stations in parks throughout town, and we've been doing them intermittently. So yes, that is something that's part of our sort of ongoing plan.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay, on the adoption of resolution R-59-2024, Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
And Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we don't have any unfinished old business. We do have new business.
Yes, we have an appointment of a zoning board of adjustment regular member for an unexpired term ending 12/31/27. As you know, it is customary to move alternate 1 into that regular position, alternate 2 then into alternate 1, and then the new applicant would be alternate 2. So if you wanted to make some motions to make that happen and nominate.
I'll make a motion to pursue the alternate escalation as described, and I nominate Gary Schmidt for the second alternate.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, so on the nomination or the appointment of Stuart Foreman as a regular member with a term ending 12/31/27, the appointment of Nancy Helterman to alternate 1 with a term ending 12/31/24, and the appointment of Gary Schmidt as alternate 2 to a term ending 12/31/25. Councilman Iannacone.
Madam Clerk,
Yes.
Madam Clerk, are there any additional
Oh, I'm so
nominations?
sorry.
just making sure.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Are there any other nominations? Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I skipped that. Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Those 3 appointments are hereby effective today.
Perfect. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Margot.